Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So lovely to see you all here today. Hi. I see a lot of familiar names. I see also quite some new names. Everyone, welcome. Welcome to today's live. Also, for those of you who are not here live, who are watching this in replay, hello to you as well. I know it's not always convenient, of course, to find a time and day that is going to suit everyone. Everyone is busy, everyone is having their own things going on. So, again, I appreciate all of you who are either watching this live or watching this in replay. We're going to give it another minute just to make sure that everyone joins before we go into the material that I've prepared for you today. So while we're waiting for others to join us, I wanted to let you know. So if you have been in one of my webinars before, which I haven't done for quite some time, life happened. I was doing a lot of trainings with my corporate clients, so somehow I put this on the side, but I will be doing more of these in the upcoming weeks, months. I will also actually be doing some in-person events. So make sure that if you are not on my email list as of yet, to be on it because so people who are on my email list are always the first ones to find out about any events, any special offerings, anything that's going on. So we typically send one email per week. And also, again, all the extra information, you are the first one to know if you're on my email list. So if you're not, let me know and I'm going to add you there. Otherwise, we can stay connected on Instagram or on LinkedIn. So if you have been in one of my webinars before, you know that I normally prepare some slides and then we go through it while you have the visual, how can I say, like you can visually see what I'm talking about. However, though, today I decided to make it a little bit different. So today I decided to have it this way. Just you and me, no slides, because I really want it to be as if you and I were having a conversation, as if we're sitting in somewhere cozy and just chatting with each other. Which brings me to another point, which is feel free to use the chat. So in at the bottom of the screen, you're going to see Q&A, which is if you click on it, you can use it as a chat. So I'm going to have it open on the side, and any how can I say, like any questions you may have or any comments you may have or anything that you would like to write, please feel free to do that. You can use this chat on a public setting. So if you click public, everyone who is in this meeting today is going to see what you wrote, or you can just leave it as a private and I will be the only one who can read what you wrote. Either way, I love to have my webinars be engaging. I love to hear your thoughts because that also then helps me to be more specific to what you are talking about as well, right? Okay, so if you want, you can take notes as I talk, but if you don't want to take notes, that's also okay. We will be sending a replay. You will be receiving it within 24 hours. So again, feel free to take notes or just sit back and relax and make sure to use chat. Okay, so for all of you who are new here, who are new to my world, I would like to just take a minute to quickly introduce myself so that you know who I am, what I'm doing, and then we're going to go into the material. So my name is Sandra D'Angelo. I'm a certified life and career coach, as well as an executive image consultant. For the past now 6 years, I have been running my own coaching practice where I'm essentially working with two types of clients. So one type of my clients are one-on-one clients, where I'm coaching them on different career and life development topics. So from how to make more money to how to open their business, to how to get promoted, to how to find a job, how to manage relationship in a better way, how to create more fun in their lives, like all different sorts of development topics. And then the other part of my business is working with companies where I'm training their employees, typically in the areas of sales and communication, leadership, and recruitment. I've been working with people from all over the world, always in international environments, on many different, how can I say, like seniority levels across different industries. So I'm happy to share some of the common trends, some of the common challenges that I have been seeing with all of them. All right. Before opening my own coaching practice. I used to work in education and recruitment. So throughout my whole career, I have been coaching to a certain capacity. I was in sales, I was in consulting. So that's another aspect that I can bring in addition to me being a certified coach. But also, like, that means that I've been in development field, really in the development field for over 10 years, professionally and then personally since I was in the teenage age. So I really love everything that has to do with brain and behavior and psychology. Like that's totally my jam. Okay, so if you would like to know more about me, you can always go to my website, which is approachyourcoach.com, where you can find all the information about my work, about my credentials, about what my clients say about working with me. You can also find that website link on my Instagram and on my LinkedIn as well. So feel free to check it out or message me. Let me know if you have any questions. Just again, drop it in the chat, send me an email, message me on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to get back to you. Okay, so I'm looking down because I have some notes prepared. I like to, have it all written. Um, so my thinking for today was firstly to make it short because it's the end of the workday and I want to make this as short as and impactful as I can. But also to think about what are some most common reasons that you might not be thinking about that could be the reason for you to either currently be slowing down your progress so very much or alternatively stopping it altogether. So I want to go deeper than those obvious ones, right? Like procrastination, setting boundaries, making excuses. I want to go deeper than that and really help you discover what could be behind all that. Because as I mentioned in one of my previous posts, like all of these are the symptoms, but we want to look into what is the like cause behind those symptoms. That is what I'm interested in helping you figure out. So, everything that we're going to cover today is something also that I work with my clients on a longer term basis. Okay, so I really want you to go into this webinar today being open minded, but also keeping in mind that all of that we're going to talk about today is something that requires an ongoing work, right? So, it's not something that you just kind of flip and now it changes. It can happen, of course, but it's something that more than that is going to require you to kind of continuously reflect on your thoughts, reflect on your behaviors, and then adjust accordingly as you go. So one other thing that I was thinking was, what can I share today not to overwhelm you with a lot of information so that you leave being like, wait, what just happened? Right? But more like, how can I make this easy for you that you can leave this and you can immediately start implementing? So I will go through 4 points, or actually five, because I have one extra one for you. And then at the end of each point, I'm going to give you some practical exercise that you can do as homework. I also want to invite you, if you need this kind of extra accountability and extra kick, feel free to message me. Let me know, how you're getting along with that homework as you go, as you work on it tomorrow or tonight or the next week, whatever. Like, let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts and I would love to help you then to brainstorm that even further. Let me just quickly open the chat to see if there is anyone who. Hello, hello. Okay. Hi everyone. Once again. Hello, hello. So for those of you who have just joined, hello, welcome. Just to invite you to feel free to use chat. I love to have my webinars be engaging, interactive. So feel free to drop any of your thoughts, questions, whatever it is in there. I'm always happy to hear it. Okay, so let's deep dive into it. So the first main thing that I believe is the foundation for everything, and it's really all of my clients will tell you it is something we talk about nonstop in our coaching sessions. It is the foundation for all of my work, and something that I strongly believe is the foundation for all the results you have across all different areas of your life. That is your self-image. And when I talk about self-image, and if you see actually what like my headlines on Instagram, on LinkedIn says, I help you improve your self-image, internal, like inner and outer. What I want to talk here today about is this more important one, because again, it's the foundation for everything else. And that is this inner self-image that you have of yourself. Now, what do I mean when I say self-image? What I mean by that is the way you think about yourself and all you're capable of. So these are essentially stories you keep telling yourself. Now, here's the thing. If you are having challenges with seeking perfection or setting boundaries or lack of setting boundaries or bad time management or making excuses or not following up on your commitments or procrastinating, whatever it is, that is the result of your self-image, the way you see yourself, right? So what I mean again by that is you want to think about what are the common stories that you tell to yourself about yourself in any aspect of your life. Drop it in the chat. So what is something you keep telling yourself? I can give you some examples that I have here. So for example, that could be, oh, I cannot do it, or I'm not meant for it, or I'm not a morning person, or others are better than I am, or what if I fail? Right? These are some stories that we keep repeating ourselves. You might not even be aware of them, right? Because they're so subtle and they also feel so real and so true. So drop them in the chat. I'm going to read some. Okay. So some that you wrote here are, this is not for me. They're better in something that I am. By the way, when you have that they are better, who is they? Always think about it. Like, who is they? Our brains love to be vague. They love to be vague. Um, I don't know what I want. Okay, that's a nice one. I mean, not, that's an interesting one, right? Like, I don't know what I want. You want to again challenge yourself about that. Is that really true? Do I really not know what I want? I'm not good in networking. Okay, yeah, this is the one we hear often. I'm ashamed. Okay, again, here you want to ask yourself, what could you possibly be ashamed of? What are you ashamed of? What will others think? Okay, so here is the thing. When your brain offers you a question, you want to answer it, right? So when you have, for example, this one, what will others think? Okay, answer that. What do you think others could potentially think? Right? Then you say to yourself, I don't know, they will think I'm a failure or that I am too straightforward or that I'm not good enough. Okay, and then what? So what if they think that, right? So what you want to be doing there is essentially is you want to be challenging your thoughts further, right? So again, thinking about your self-image, how do you see yourself? How do you see what do you think you're capable of? You want to become very, very aware of that because, again, that is creating all results in your life. Again, when I work with my clients, I teach them the model, which essentially tells you how whatever we think creates a certain emotion in our body. That emotion inspires a certain action for us to take. And that action then creates results. So, if one of the key stories that I keep telling myself is, for example, I'm not good enough, think about how will that feel for you? You will not feel like, woohoo, let's go, let's conquer the world, right? You're gonna feel small, you're gonna feel uncomfortable, you're gonna feel like, I don't wanna, I don't wanna put myself out there, which is going to result in you either putting yourself out there, but in a way that is not really aligned with truly who you are, or you're not gonna put yourself out there at all, which again is going to create a result of you're probably a result that you're probably not happy about. If you think you're bad in dating, imagine how will you be showing up in dates. If you think you are really bad in presenting, imagine how you will be showing up in presentations. If you think, oh, I'm not gonna go to, I don't know, like I'm not gonna go to the gym today, I'm gonna go tomorrow because I don't feel like it. If we keep repeating ourselves, I don't feel like it, I'm not gonna do it anyway. Imagine how you will be showing up. Imagine also how much respect again will that create for yourself. And what I just want to point out here, a caveat to all of this that I'm saying, it's the point isn't for us to judge ourselves or criticize ourselves or to use this against ourselves. The point is to understand what is happening so that you can, how can I say, like, notice these patterns so that you can change it. That's the first most important step is to become aware of what is happening so that you can change it. Okay. So, practical part of this would be I want you to think about all different areas of your life. So, let's say, for example, health, relationships, family or romance, career, money, fun, and adventure. So, this could be, for example, different parts of your life. And then I want you to think about, write a sentence or two for yourself. This can be your homework. You can do it now or you can do it later, right? what do you think about yourself when it comes to each of those areas of your life? And you will see that whatever you truly think about yourself, and don't overthink it, like whatever comes to you first, whatever you think about yourself is actually very much aligned with the results in those areas of your life too. So now, the next step of that exercise would be, how are these thoughts useful to you? And are they even useful to you? And then the third part of that exercise would be, what could be a more useful way for you to think instead? All right. Again, we will be sending a replay. So if you're currently not taking notes, don't worry about it. You will be able to watch this on a replay. But I'm just going to repeat it here once again. So write down different areas of your life: health, relationships, romance, career, money, fun, and adventure. Write a sentence or two in terms of what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about those areas and yourself in those areas. Then you want to think about, how are these thoughts useful to you? And thirdly, what could be a more useful way for you to think as you move on? Okay, I also want to give you some thoughts for you to think about. And here's the thing, like, what I want to invite you to keep in mind is that if you're currently, for example, in an how can I say, like, in a moment where your belief in yourself is very poor, like you are like, I don't believe in myself, I don't think I can do it, I'm kind of almost 100% I cannot do it. Going from that to, ooh, I 100% believe in myself and everything is nice and amazing, might be too big of a step. So you can always think about what could be a middle ground to that. So you might not believe that, you might not think that you can go from I don't believe in myself to I believe in myself, but maybe something in the middle could be, I might know it yet, but I will figure it out. Or I know who I can ask. Or I know where I can read this. Or I know what skills I might need to get to where I want to be. Right? So it can always be some middle ground as well. You don't need to go from 0 to 100. Think about what is something that you actually can believe, something that feels tangible to you. Okay, so here are some additional thoughts that I want to give you here. So, for example, I can show up, I can be afraid and do it anyway. I believe in myself. I can figure anything out. Actually, story about this. I can figure anything out. So I moved to Iceland over 6 years ago, actually. And when I was moving, so I was leaving my secure 9 to 5, a beautiful apartment in Zurich, an amazing life and friends and everything, to move to a different country because of love. My husband is Icelandic. I was starting my business back then. So it was basically changing my life for, 180, from something super secure to a different country, starting my business, starting to live with my boyfriend back then, husband today. And I had quite a number of my friends who were like, what if it doesn't work out? Or why are you doing this? Or, what will you do if things don't turn out as you want them to be? And I remember I said to many of them, like, what do you mean? Of course it's going to work out. I am going to figure it out, right? I decided that I will have my back and I will figure things out, no matter how difficult and uncomfortable and whatever they might seem at that point, because things are like in my hands, which is something we're going to talk about in the next point. Another thought that you can think about, I'm courageous. The next one, I'm focused on my goal. When we focus on our goal, then we become automatically more creative. Aha, so that's where I'm headed to. What do I need to focus on to get there? Another thought that's great to have is, I'm okay to be uncomfortable. You can even think I love to be uncomfortable, right? It's boring not to be uncomfortable. You can play with these thoughts. These are just some examples that I want to throw there at you for you to think a little bit about. Let me just check the chat to see if there is anything. Okay, no new messages. All right. So that's the first one, the super, super important one. Again, your self-image, the way you think about yourself, the way you see yourself, the way, like, all that you are and all that you're capable of. Improving, if there's anything to take from today's webinar, it's that part. If there is, like, the 100% way to improve any result in your life is to start by improving the way you see yourself. And then everything builds on top of that. Okay. Let's go to the second point. Now, there is this concept that I teach my clients, which is taking 100% responsibility 100% of the time, which for some is very difficult, right? Because some results in our life, it feels like we have nothing to do with them. It's 100% responsibility of someone else that we are in a certain part of our career or our life or whatever that is. So I want again to invite you to be open-minded there and to consider what I'm going to share with you. So you might think that things happen to you, that you have nothing to do with that, right? So it's either your boss or colleague or husband or wife or kid or friend or whatever. It's because of them or something else, right? The world, the economy, whatever. It's because of that that you are in a specific situation or you are having a current, specific result or a lack of that result. If you think that way, I bet that you feel also very heavy, very overwhelmed, very, very frustrated. And of course you do. It's because things are out of your control, right? If somebody else is responsible for your results, of course you feel heavy. Because again, you're not the one who is in charge. It's like, throwing hands in the air and be like, well, there's nothing I can do about it, right? So what I want to invite you to do instead is think about how can you take 100% responsibility for whatever is happening in your career, in your relationships, in your friendships, in your money, whatever it is. How are you in charge? Now notice, I didn't say it's your fault or it's you to blame. I'm talking about how are you in charge of having created that. When we focus on how did I create a certain result, is you bring your power back to you. You immediately take back that control, which again feels better. It feels more, like, okay, at least I can do something about it. So again, it's not about blaming, but it's about thinking, okay, situation is as it is. Now, what can I do about it? What is 100% within my control that I can do about it? Let me check chat quickly. Just one second because I saw some. Okay, so, but what if it's truly out of my power? For example, my boss told me that there is no way I can get the promotion right now because there is no budget. Okay, this definitely sounds like it's on them, right? Okay, so firstly, just to tell you, I've also been told in my previous career that there was no budget and there is no room for my promotion or getting more money, and yet I got it in the end because there are always exceptions that to be made. That's one part. But let's now, for the sake of this argument, say that there is really, really, truly no budget. There are different avenues you can take, right? Like you can decide how you want to approach that. You can approach it from a point of view like, I'm definitely not okay with that. And if there is no budget, I'm going to leave, and you start looking for a new job. You can approach it from a point of view, okay, you talk to your manager, you can talk to your manager and see, can you talk to their manager and maybe, pitch your case to them. Or you can talk to your manager about, okay, there is no budget at the moment, there is no potential for me to get promoted, but what can I do or how can I already start preparing now so that once the promotion is available in, let's say, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, I can be the first in line for it, right? So you see what I'm doing? I'm thinking about, okay, they gave me an information or they showed me the situation as it is. Now, what can I do about it? How do I want to what is 100% within my control that I can do, prepare or change or adjust, delete, whatever, to approach that situation as it is. Okay, so that is one of the things that you can think about. And of course, if you'd like to share a little bit more information and the background and context of this story, feel free to do that. But that's the thinking you want to approach it from. Not like my boss said it's impossible and the end of the story. No, think about, okay, this is the situation. Now, how can I approach that? You see, somebody else wrote. Totally makes sense. It does feel lighter right away, like I'm back in being in charge. Yes, of course, right? You are always in charge if you decide to see it that way, of course, right? Again, we come back to the self-image. Okay, so the practical part of this one can be think about what results you currently have, let's say in your career or in your relationships or in your romance, family, money, whatever it is. And then you think about how did you create those? Like, what is within your control that you did or didn't do that created these kind of results? And then what can you do to change that? Again, that is fully within your control. So if you, for example, have a bank account that's not very, happy to look at, you can think about, all right, so how did I create this kind of a bank account? What have I been spending money on that I shouldn't had spent money on? How can I become better in saving? What other investments can I make? Right? For example, what costs can what subscriptions, for example, can I cancel? Can I talk to my manager and see, or how can I talk to my manager and see what are the areas where I can maybe take extra responsibility and get some more money or do overtime, right? So again, always think about what is within my control. How did I create this kind of results? It feels so much better. It also, again, puts you in this creative mode. Let me think about solutions. Let me become creative to come up with all sorts of ways I can do it. Okay. Which leads me to the third point. Now, this is something I think we're all guilty about a little bit. Let me just have a sip of water. So, the third big reason that could be why you aren't seeing results that you want, why you're slowing down your progress or stopping it altogether is because you're greatly underestimating how much effort it will take for you to get to where you want to be. Now, I see that a lot with my clients who are starting their own businesses or who are in sales or who are looking for jobs. They start their business, they create the website, they have their offer, and they're like, so where are the clients? Like, no, it doesn't go that way, right? Or sales. Oh, I did 10 calls. Nobody wants my services. Well, let's do 1,000 calls and then let's talk about if nobody wants your services. Also, you want to be aware, by the way, this nobody wants it or everyone wants it. Nobody, everyone. We don't want to think about this in these extreme terms, right? Because that also feels very heavy. Nobody wants that. Is that really true? Or job search. I applied for 3 roles and I didn't get a job. Well, let's apply for 33 roles and then let's talk about interviews and negotiation and jobs, etc. Right? So we tend to greatly underestimate how much effort it's going to actually take to get there. With that in mind, you also want to think about what kind of effort you're taking, and we're going to talk about that again in a minute. But the quality of that effort is also very important. So, one exercise that I also personally like to do for myself is write down all different actions that come to my mind, no matter how small, big, silly, whatever they might sound. And then I think about all of them like, will this get me closer to the goal or further from the goal? So now the practical part of this one could be, what are you working towards? So that's the first thing that we want to become aware of. What is the goal that you're working towards? And then how much effort have you really, but really been taking to get there? How much effort have you really been putting in to get to where you want to be? What is the quality of that effort? Like, is it like really effort, scrolling on LinkedIn or on Instagram and I don't know, just following people is not really an effort. Maybe you want to start conversations with them. You want to start engaging with them, right? Like you want to test what is the quality of the effort because sometimes, I'm sure you've experienced it before, you're super busy working all day. At the end of the day, you're so tired, but then you reflect and you're like, wait, what did I even do today? Right? Again, we're not criticizing ourselves here. We're just being honest and open so that we can improve, right? And also, what I want to invite you to do is whatever you're working towards, I challenge you to put at least twice as much as effort as to what you were putting before. At least twice as much, potentially much, much more, but let's start with twice as much. Now, that leads me, let me just check the chat again to see if anyone. Aha, that is so true. When I think about it, I'm not really putting in the right effort. At the end of the day, I wonder what did I even do all day? It feels busy, but it's not the right effort. Yeah, exactly. You feel busy, you feel tired, but when you think about kind of tangible results, you lack seeing some. Now, that brings me to the fourth point, which is you want to pause to reflect. Now, this is not the most fun part, I understand that. However, it's an extremely important one. Now, why? Because you can be putting tons of effort and working hard as you as hard as you possibly can, and yet you might be putting all that effort into the wrong kind of stuff. Putting effort, we can be putting right effort or wrong effort, right? Right effort is obviously getting us closer to where we want to be. Wrong effort is getting us further from where we want to be. So it is so important to reflect on what is working and what is not working so that you can adjust as you move on. So all this advice that I often see online, just do it, doesn't really work, right? Yes, just do it, but also just make sure that you're doing the right stuff. And the way to know if you're doing the right stuff is what kind of results you're seeing, right? If you aren't seeing the results that you want, then probably you're not doing the right stuff. So the practical part of this section can be to use just a very, very simple 3 question reflection method, which goes like this. First question, what is working? Second question, what's not working? And third question, what can I do differently? That's it. As simple as that. Now, notice that we started with what is working, right? We want to start with the positive. We want to start with, like, you want to start reflecting and being on kind of a high note, right? You want to approach it from a positive and motivating and creative point of view rather than, oh, these are all different reasons why it's not working. And then kind of whatever else, I don't even want to hear about it. It's gonna be very hard to go from that low to a high, right? If we start with what looking into what is not working. So I always suggest to start with what is working well, and then okay, that's great. Now what is not working that great? And what can we do differently? Now, this is something you can also use with your team, right? If you're managing your team, this is a really nice way to lead feedback sessions with them as well. You can also maybe potentially think, like send them in advance to them for them to prepare these kind of questions and answers. And then once you're in a meeting with them, you can then directly deep dive and explore what they came up with. Now, if you're very far from your goals, I would suggest that you use, but also if you're not, right? I would suggest that you use this reflection method as often as you possibly can. So that can be daily, that can be weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly. But again, if you're far from where you want to be, I would highly, highly suggest you use it as much as you possibly can. So, for example, when I'm training my clients on sales, for example, especially for those who are either very far from the target or maybe potentially new in sales, we do this after every call because you want to capture that knowledge as soon as you possibly can. So they would, put down the phone, and then we would go into, okay, what worked well on this call? What did you like about how you presented yourself? Then what didn't go that well on this call? What didn't you like? And then what can we do differently in the next call? We think about that. They do the next call and they immediately implement what didn't, like, what didn't work and what they wanted to adjust. Because if we wait until the end of the day, imagine how many things they will forget, or we will forget. I will forget as well, right? So you want to do it as often as possible to really, really collect these first impressions, so to say. So these were the 4. I have one extra one for you, which is very short, but I think so impactful. It's something I've been thinking about recently myself, and I've been reading some books, and this kept coming up, so it's kind of meant to be. um, and that is, I see for a lot of my clients, and a lot of sometimes I also find myself into those situations. We're all human beings, right? Is kind of thinking as if success towards whatever goal I'm working on is almost optional. Kind of approaching it from this point of view, well, if it happens, it's nice to have, or let's see, versus, no, no, this is happening, or this has happened already, or I'm going to make this happen. So switching this idea from, oh, it's a nice to have to, no, 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 this is like my responsibility, my duty to make happen. So what I want to leave you here with is really thinking if you were to approach success in any aspect of your life, really, instead of as something optional to something that like it's inevitable that it's going to happen and you are fully in charge to making it happen, how would you approach your day to day differently? Again, we come back to self image, right? What would you think about yourself? if success was something that's inevitable, something that is 100% happening, something that you're fully and only in charge. Let me just go to chat quickly. So when it comes to pause and reflect, I never do it because it feels like it's a waste of my time. Logically, it's not a waste, but I still don't do it. Well, if you still don't do it, then you don't think that it's not a waste, right? Because remember what we said at the very beginning. Our thoughts create our emotions drive our results. So you potentially still, or surely still think that it's not a right investment because you're still avoiding doing it. So maybe a great homework for you might be thinking about how is not reflecting actually making you go further from your success, right? Or what would be different if you started reflecting? How can that be the exact thing you might need to get back on track? Because I do believe that sitting down and reflecting on what's happening is a way for me to get to my goals. It's never taking away from it. And when I say reflect, like these three questions, you literally need 5 to 10 minutes to think about them. I don't want you to spend hours and hours thinking, brainstorming, mind mapping. There is no need for that. Even just 5 to 10 minutes quality thinking with yourself can be miraculous, truly. Uh, Success is inevitable. Yes, this is so good. It totally shifts something in me. Makes me more serious about it all. Yes, right. It makes us more serious. It makes us wait. It's my responsibility to make it happen. It's my duty. And that's like, yes, let's go. Okay. So that's what I have for you for today. These were my four plus an extra surprise points for you. I would love to hear your thoughts. If you want to put in the chat anything that came up for you, any questions that you might have, I would love, love, love to hear from you. And I would also like to invite you, if this is something that resonated with you, if this is something that you understand is something you need help with, or is something that you need an accountability partner on, or you know that you need some more structure about, and you would really like to deep dive into these topics, I invite you to book a free consultation call with me. We can have a chat about where you currently are, where you wish to be, and then see if working with me as your coach could be something that is suitable for you at this point, because that is what we do together, right? So I have different packages, including also just one session where you can kind of try before you buy coaching with me. And then there are different packages that we can engage with in terms of ongoing support you might need. Okay. So feel free to message me, feel free to email me, or put a message on LinkedIn. Send me a message on LinkedIn or on Instagram, whatever it is, and then we're going to set up the call. It's a free of charge call, right? So it's an initial consultation that is complimentary. So we're going to have a chat, no strings attached. Okay, let me see if there are any questions. Thank you so much. This was super helpful. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad. I'm so, so glad. There will be more, as I mentioned at the very beginning. Not all of you were there, so I'm going to repeat myself. There will be more of these kind of webinars coming up. I have some really good ones in mind. I also have some in-person events I will be doing. So please stay tuned, how they say. Okay, so what would be the first thing that I could focus on with this knowledge of today? Okay, that's a great, great question. So here is my answer to that. I want you to think about like everything that we covered. So from all of these points, so be it self-image, be it taking 100% responsibility, be it greatly underestimating the efforts, be it reflecting, be it not taking success as something that is your responsibility and duty. Like when you think about these, what do you think, like instinctively, is something which is probably the main reason that you aren't where you want to be? Right. So let's think about that. If you believe that you see yourself really strongly, I would usually suggest starting with self-image. But if you feel like that is your forte, so to say, then let's explore what the other parts, or in which of these other parts you might not be that strong. And I would start with that. I would start with focusing on that. But maybe even before all that, I would encourage you to go through this replay or go through your notes and do this homework that I suggested. So as you remember, I gave you practical after every of like each of these points. So answer those questions, do some thinking for yourself, and then based on that think about, okay, now that I have all these answers, where can I start? If you want, you can also, as I said already, message me, and I can help you figure out what is the best starting point for you. Okay. Okay, the next question. How long are your coaching programs? Oh, okay. So there are different ones. So there is a possibility for you to buy a one-time session that's new now, monthly or 4 months. So that's the different ways you can work together with me. But I would also encourage you to go on my website and to see all the information is over there. You will see all the packages, you will see all the durations, you will see all the pricing. And then again, if you would like us to chat further, I invite you to book a free consultation call with me. I would love to hear from you and see how I can help you. Okay, any other questions? Anyone? Feel free to write them in the chat. Otherwise, that's what I have for you. I promised it's going to be short and sweet. I hope it's not too much information that you're like, ah. I hope it was easy to follow. I hope it was simple. I hope it was valuable for you. And I'm so excited to hear your thoughts. I'm so excited to hear how your homework goes for you. As I said, if you need any additional support, you can always message me. I'm happy to hear from you. And once again, thank you all for being here live with me today. I appreciate you taking time. Thank you all who are watching this on a replay eventually. And I'll talk to you all very soon again. Bye.